Fury Wilder 3 is almost upon us, only a few days' time, and we will see finally a conclusion to this trilogy. Of course, Fury going into it with a win and a draw. Some people might say 2 wins. Wilder without a win yet in this trilogy. So, all to play for, I guess. I'm going to touch upon the press conference first, and obviously Bob Arum was quite heated, especially about Kate Abdo, the host for the press conference, and I want to very briefly address that because I did watch it back, and I will say 2 things. I think the only 2 things that I thought she said, which were pretty weird, was the first one was asking Tyson Fury whether, like, saying, "Oh, do you not own any shirts?" Which I thought was a bit patronizing, and I thought that's probably like why she's saying that. I was right at the start. The second was to ask him to sit down like a couple of times, and or basically strongly suggesting he should sit down. But as long as he's answering the questions, I don't see an issue with it. I think he can do whatever he wants as long as he's not interacting physically with Wilder and he's actually staying in his area, which he was doing. So that was a weird one. But apart from that, to be honest with you, I thought she was fine. I didn't have any issues. I didn't think she was biased really towards Wilder, even though I know she's a PBC presenter, which obviously is the network that Wilder's been on, and she does Fox as well. So Fox on PBC even, or PBC on Fox. But she was fine. I don't think she was biased at all. It's not like she shied away from asking Wilder difficult questions. She asked him about the allegations that he had made against Fury, saying, "Oh, do you still believe in them, etc." And I thought she was on the whole fine. I thought she was pretty good, and yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty harsh of Bob Arum to basically say F her and F PBC because apparently, according to a lot of reports, a face-off was actually scheduled. She also came in late notice, so I think she was given 24 hours notice. I don't know who was originally going to do the gig, but it wasn't her. So she would have had to have scrambled already to prep and also kind of get ready for it. And then when she did, she came on. I thought she was good. I did think she was good. I didn't think she was incredible, but I thought she was good. I thought she was solid, and I didn't have any issues with her really, apart from those 2 small things. But to be honest with you, most presenters normally say something weird or something where you're like, "Do you really need to say that?" So yeah, I thought she was good, and it was an interesting one. I think she managed to get respect from both fighters. I think Wilder wouldn't have even talked if she wasn't there because I think they clearly have some type of working relationship. So he was happy to open up to her, but I think anyone else, and he might have just stayed quiet, and that would have been a horrific press conference, especially for a final presser. Whereas, Fury, I think, is going to talk to anyone. I don't think he particularly had an issue with her, but I don't know. I haven't heard any interviews from him after, like, citing that he had any issues with her anyway. So I assume it was fine. It was a weird one. I think the press conference was very quiet at the start, and they're answering questions, and it was all pretty amicable, and it was quite boring, if I'm being honest with you, at the start. And then towards the end, it just became a shouting match, really, and the effing and blinding, and oh, this is happening, and Tyson Fury saying, "Oh yeah, of course I cheated. I had knuckle dusters. I had this. I had that. I had this." Also, saying to Wilder, "Why didn't you ask JDS? Why is he still in your team?" He saw me wrapping my hands. Apparently, I had egg weights in my in my gloves and extra, etc., etc. So it was a very topsy-turvy press conference, to say the least. And I think if we move away from the Kate Abdo situation, because as I said, our face-off was supposed to be scheduled, apparently, there wasn't any security on stage. So I understand why maybe they didn't want to do the face-off, but it's not her fault. Like, she would have had someone in her ear telling her to do the face-off and also telling her when to go, when not to go. So I think that needs to be taken into it. In terms of who won the press conference, and some people say, psychologically, a lot of times the fight is already won before you even get into the ring. Now, I don't know how much of that is actually true in a lot of fights, but I think with Fury, and even though he vehemently denies it, like he strongly denies it in most interviews, he says, "Oh, mind games doesn't mean anything. Like, I'm not interested in mind games." he definitely knows that they have an effect, and we saw that with the Klitschko fight where he obviously went on to win, and he clearly was getting into Klitschko's head. I think he did the same with Wilder in both fights. Really, I think Wilder struggled, and then here, the first few press conferences he was silent, wasn't saying anything. The first one, this one, he did bite. However, I still think Fury, won the press conference, 10-9 or whatever you want to say. There's all these cliches and or 1-0, whatever you want to say. But I think Wilder was pretty calm and collected and almost in a scary way, if that makes sense. It looked like he was dialed in. I know he's got this alter ego, the bronze bomber, almost like that was maybe there. He definitely seems to believe all these allegations, so maybe that's why he's so confident in his, I guess, demeanor, because he just thinks, well, I'm working harder than I ever have. I've improved, and Fury was, he cheated in the last fight, so he can't cheat again, and we're gonna have everyone looking at him, watching him, so I should knock him out. The biggest thing for me is what's going to happen when he gets clipped from Fury, because as soon as he gets clipped from Fury, is Wilder going to go into his shell and think, "Oh, damn, these allegations weren't true," which I personally don't think they were, but who knows? But them crazy, so I wouldn't even be surprised some of them were. But I think it's the fact that he had like 10, 15 excuses, not all of them can be true, no doubt. Maybe one or two were, who knows? But I assume no, to be honest with you. And if once he gets clipped, is he going to revert to type where he was on the back foot and then just looking for that one big right hand and just try and set it up, or is he going to stick to what Malik Scott seems to have put into play, which is actually I'm going to box, throw a few more combinations than I normally would. I'm actually not going to just stay out of range to avoid the jab, or try to stay out of range to avoid the jab. I'm actually going to duck underneath, the looping hooks and jabs, etc., because he is shorter than Fury, so he can do that. I would assume he will revert to type once he gets clipped. The only way that I can see Wilder winning this fight is if he clips Fury very early and either knocks him out or floors him and then takes confidence from that and then gets him out there pretty damn early. But yeah, so very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. We shall see, though. We shall see. I just think that Deontay Wilder is in a position now where this is make or break. He loses this fight, and I'm not sure where he goes. And people say we still want to see him versus Dylan White. We still want to see him versus Joshua. And to be fair, I guess if he does lose it as well, does it really harm him? Probably not. I don't think he's any worse off than he was after the second fight. It just shows that Tyson Fury is his kryptonite, right? And that doesn't mean he can't beat everyone else in the division. I'm not saying that he will, but I'm just saying that everyone has a bogeyman at times, and someone who the style just doesn't match up well. That could potentially be, for Joshua, that could potentially be Usyk, and for Wilder, that could be Fury. Who knows? So we shall see. But yeah, I'm hoping for a very swift conclusion to this. Hopefully, whoever wins, they don't do it again. We don't need to see it again. Let's just get everyone else to fight each other. Get Dylan White in the mix in there. Get Joe Joyce in the mix there. Let Joshua fight Usyk, and if he wins or whoever wins that fight, either Fury or Wilder, the winner of this, let's just get it moving. Get everyone fighting everyone. That's what we want to see. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The undercard, by the way, is an absolute monster as well. By the way, I mean they've got. It's just crazy. FA Jagba's on there. Obviously, he's in a really good fight against Frank. What's his surname? He's the guy in the Canelo camp. But yeah, really, really good. And I think they've also got Kalnaki versus Hellenius 2. So obviously Kalnaki, really big upset. So that's a really, really interesting one. So I'm really looking forward to that. That's going to be cool. And Frank Sanchez, yeah, it's Frank Sanchez. It's Frank Sanchez versus FA Jack, but that's going to be really interesting. There's also, yeah, as I said, Kaunaki versus Salinas 2. I'm intrigued about that fight, to be honest with you. Kaunaki should win it, but Helenius has got power, to be fair. So it's going to be interesting. Belanga's on there as well on the undercard, so it's going to be really interesting. It's one of the best undercards I've seen. I'm not going to go into detail because I just feel everyone's, even though it is a very good undercard, I think most people are focused on the main fight. So I think that's what we will mainly concentrate on. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. Please remember to like the video if you haven't already. Read us, help us out, and subscribe to the channel as well for more content like this. Do also click the notification bell to get alerted to all the new videos. And if you are interested in other sports, tennis and cricket, I also do cover on this channel. And if you're interested in boxing interviews, I've done a number of them with people ranging from world champions to British champions at domestic level, to people to Australian fighters to all sorts. So do check it out. There are some really insightful interviews, and I will put that at the end of this video as well. So thank you very much, guys. Stay safe and well, and I'll see you on the next video.